Shalom, shalom. Today we start a new book, 1 Kings. David is about to pass away, basically. That's where we are in the timeline, so to speak. So we'll just get right into it. And sovereign David was old, advanced in years, and they covered him with garments, but he could not get warm. So his servants said to him, Let them seek out for our master the sovereign a young woman, a maiden, and she shall stand before the sovereign and be his companion, and shall lie in your bosom, so that your master the sovereign gets warm. And they sought for a beautiful young woman in all the border of Israel, and found Abishag the Shunammite, and brought her to the sovereign. And the young woman was very beautiful, and she was a companion for the sovereign, and served him, but the sovereign did not know her. And Adoniah, son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I reign. And he prepared for himself a chariot and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. Now his father had not worried him at any time by saying, Why have you done so? So he was also very good looking, and he was born after Absalom. And he talked with Joab, son of Zeruiah, and with Abiathar the priest, and they supported Adoniah. But Zadok the priest, and Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei and Ray, and the mighty men who belonged to David were not with Adoniah. And Adoniah slaughtered sheep and cattle and fatlings by the stone of Zoheleth, which is by Enrogel. He also invited all his brothers, the sovereign's sons, and the men of Judah, servants of the sovereign. But he did not invite Nathan the prophet, or Benaiah, or the mighty men of Shelemoth his brother. Nathan then spoke to Bathsheba, the mother of Shelemoth, saying, Have you not heard that Adoniah, son of Haggith, has become sovereign, and David, our master, does not know it? And now, come, let me give you advice, and deliver your own life and the life of your son Shelemoth. Go immediately to sovereign David, and say to him, Did you not, my master, O sovereign, swear to your female servant, saying, Certainly your son Shelemoth shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne? Why then has Adoniah become sovereign? Look, while you are still speaking there with the sovereign, let me come in after you and confirm your words. And Bathsheba went into the room to the sovereign. Now the sovereign was very old, and Abishag the Shunammite was serving the sovereign. And Bathsheba bowed and did obeisance to the sovereign. And the sovereign said, What do you wish? And she said to him, My master, you swore by Yahweh your Elohim to your female servant, saying, Certainly Shelemoth, your son, shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne. And now, look, Adoniah has become sovereign, and now my master the sovereign, you do not know about it. And he has slaughtered great numbers of bulls and fatlings and sheep, and has invited all the sons of the sovereign, and Abiathar the priest, and Joab the commander of the army, but he did not invite Shelemoth your servant. And you, my master, O sovereign, the eyes of all Israel are on you, to declare to them who is going to sit on the throne of my master the sovereign after him. Otherwise it shall be, when my master the sovereign rests with his fathers, that I and my son Shelemoth shall be considered sinners. And see, while she was still speaking with the sovereign, Nathan the prophet also came in. So they informed the sovereign, saying, Here is Nathan the prophet. And when he came in before the sovereign, he bowed down before the sovereign with his face to the ground. And Nathan said, My master, O sovereign, have you said, Adoniah shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne? For he has gone down today, and has slaughtered great numbers of bulls and fatlings and sheep, and has invited all the sovereign's sons, and the commanders of the army, and Abiathar the priest. And look, they are eating and drinking before him. And they say, Let sovereign Adoniah live. But he has not invited me, your servant, nor Zadok the priest, nor Benaiah son of Jehoiada, nor the servant Shelemoth. If this matter is from my master the sovereign, then you did not let your servant know who should sit on the throne of my master the sovereign after him. And sovereign David answered and And sovereign David answered and said, Call Bathsheba to me. So she came into the sovereign's presence and stood before the sovereign. And the sovereign took an oath and said, As Yahweh lives, who has ransomed my life out of all distress, even as I swore to you by Yahweh Elohim of Israel, saying, Certainly Shelemoth your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne in my place. Even so I do this day. And Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth, and did obeisance to the sovereign, and said, Let my master sovereign David live forever. And sovereign David said, Call me Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah son of Jehoiada. And they came before the sovereign, and the sovereign said to them, Take with you the servants of your masters, and you shall have Shelemoth my son ride on my own mule, and take him down to Gihon. And there Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet shall anoint him sovereign over Israel, and blow the shofar, and say, Let sovereign Shelemoth live. And you shall come up after him, and he shall come and sit on my throne, and he shall reign in my place. For I have commanded him to be ruler over Israel and over Yehudah. And Benaiah son of Jehoiada answered the sovereign and said, Amen. So says Yahweh Elohim of my master the sovereign. As Yahweh has been with my master the sovereign, so let him be with Shelemoth, and make his throne greater than the throne of my master sovereign David. Then Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet and Benaiah son of Jehoiada and the Kerethites and the Pelethites went down and had Shelemoth ride on sovereign David's mule, and took him to Gihon. And Zadok the priest took a horn of oil from the tent and anointed Shelemoth, and they blew with the shofar, and all the people said, Let sovereign Shelemoth live. And all the people came up after him, and the people played the flutes and rejoiced with great joy, so that the earth was split by their noise. And Adoniyahu and all the guests who were with him heard it as they had finished eating. And Joab heard the voice of the shofar, and said, Why is the city in such a noisy uproar? And he was still speaking, then Jonathan came, son of Abiathar the priest. And Adoniyahu said to him, Come in, for you are a brave man, and you bring good news. But Jonathan answered and said to Adoniyahu, No, our master sovereign David has made Shelemoth sovereign. And the sovereign has sent with him Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah son of Jehoiada, and the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and they had him ride on the sovereign's mule. And Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet have anointed him sovereign at Gihon. And they have gone up from there rejoicing, and the city is moved. This is the noise you heard. And further, Shelemoth sits on the throne of the reign. And further, the servants of the sovereign have gone to bless our master sovereign David, saying, Let your Elohim make the name of Shelemoth better than your name, and his throne greater than your throne. And the sovereign bowed himself on the bed. And the sovereign also said thus, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel, who has given one to sit on my throne this day, while my eyes see it. And all the guests were invited by Adoniyahu, and all the guests who were invited by Adoniyahu were afraid, and rose, and each one went his way. And Adoniyahu was afraid of Shelemoth, and rose, and went and took hold of the horns of the slaughter place. And it was reported to Shelemoth, saying, Look, Adoniyahu is afraid of sovereign Shelemoth, and look, he has taken hold of the horns of the slaughter place, saying, Let sovereign Shelemoth swear to me today that he does not put his servant to death with the sword. And Shelemoth said, If he proves himself a worthy man, not one hair of him is going to fall on the earth. But if evil is found in him, then he shall die. And sovereign Shelemoth sent, and they brought him down from the slaughter place. And he came and fell down before sovereign Shelemoth. And Shelemoth said to him, Go to your house. Guess he didn't find nothing worth putting him down over. And the days of David drew near to die, and he commanded Shelemoth his son, saying, I am going the way of all the earth, and you shall be strong, and be a man, and guard the charge of Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways, to guard his laws, his commands, his right rulings, and his witnesses. And it is written in the Torah of Moshe, as it is written in the Torah of Moshe, so that you do wisely all that you do, and wherever you turn. So that Yahweh does establish his word, which he spoke concerning me, saying, If your sons guard their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their being, saying, there is not to cease a man of yours on the throne of Israel. And also, you know what Joab son of Zeruiah did to me, and what he did to the two commanders of the armies of Israel, to Abner son of Ner and Amasa son of Jether, that he killed them, and shed the blood of battle in peace, and put the blood of battle on his belt that was around his waist, and on his sandals that were on his feet. So act accordingly to your wisdom, and do not let his gray hair go down into Sheol in peace. But show loving commitment to the son of Barzillai the Gileadite, and let them be among those who eat at your table. For they came to me when I fled from Absalom your brother. And see, with you is Shimei son of Gerah the Benjamite from Bahurim, who cursed me with a grievous cursing in the day when I went to Mahanaim. But he came down to meet me at the Jordan, and I swore to him by Yahweh, saying, I shall not put you to death with the sword. And now do not leave him unpunished. For you are a wise man, and know what you should do to him, and shall bring his gray hair down to Sheol with blood. And David slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David. And the days that David reigned over Israel was 40 years. He reigned 7 years in Hebron, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years. And Shelemoth sat at the throne of his father David, and his reign was firmly established. And Adoniah, son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba the mother of Shelemoth, and she said, do you come in peace? And he said, peace. And he said, I have a word for you. And she said, speak. And he said, you know that the reign was mine, and all Israel had set their faces toward me, that I should reign. But the reign has been turned around, and has become my brother's, for it was his from Yahweh. And now I am making one request of you. Do not refuse me. And she said to him, say it. And he said, please speak to sovereign Shelemoth, for he would not refuse you to give me Abishag the Shunammite as wife. And Bathsheba said, good, let me speak for you to the sovereign. And Bathsheba came to sovereign Shelemoth to speak to him for Adoniah, and the sovereign rose up to meet her, and bowed down to her, and sat down on his throne, and had a throne set for the sovereign's mother. So she sat at his right hand. And she said, I am making one small request of you. Do not refuse me. And the sovereign said to her, ask it, my mother, for I do not refuse you. Then she said, let Abishag the Shunammite be given to Adoniah, your brother, as wife. And sovereign Shelemoth answered and said to my mother, now why do you ask Abishag the Shunammite for Adoniah? Ask for him the reign also, for he is my older brother, for him, and for Abiathar the priest, and for Joab, son of Zeruiah. And sovereign Shelemoth swore by Yahweh, saying, Elohim does so to me, and more also, if Adoniah has not spoken this word against his own life. And now, as Yahweh lives, who established me and set me on the throne of David my father, and who has made me a house as he promised, Adoniah shall be put to death today. And the sovereign Shelemoth sent by the hand of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and he fell upon him, and he died. Then the sovereign said to Abiathar the priest, go to Anathoth to your own fields, for you deserve death. But I... Yep. Then the sovereign said to Abiathar the priest, go to Anathoth to your own fields, for you deserve death. But I do not put you to death at this time, because you did bear the ark of the master Yahweh before my father David, and because you were afflicted in all my father was afflicted in. So Shelemoth dismissed Abiathar from being priest to Yahweh, to fill the word of Yahweh which he spoke concerning the house of Eli at Shiloh. And news came to Joab, and Joab had turned aside from Adoniah, though he did not turn aside from Absalom. And Joab fled to the tent of Yahweh and took hold of the horns of the slaughter place. Man, they are loving this, aren't they? They're like, wow, if I go up here, they won't kill me here. And the report came to sovereign Shelemoth that Joab had fled to the tent of Yahweh, and see, he is by the slaughter place. Then Shelemoth sent Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, saying, go, fall on him. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I don't care where you are. You die today. So Benaiah came to the tent of Yahweh and said to him, thus said the sovereign, come out. And he said, no, for here I die. And Beniehu brought back word to the sovereign, saying, Thus said Joab, and thus he answered me. And the sovereign said to him, Do as he has said, and fall upon him, and you shall bury him, so that you take away from me and from the house of my father the blood which Joab shed without cause. See, I knew Joab was a bloodthirsty individual. Anyway, thus Yahuwah shall return his blood on his head, because he had fallen on two men more righteous and better than he, and killed them with the sword, while my father David did not know it. Abner, son of Ner, commander of the army of Israel, and Amasa, son of Jether, commander of the army of Judah. So shall their blood return upon the head of Joab, and return the head, and upon the head of his seed forever. But upon David and his seed, upon his house and his throne, there is to be peace forever from Yahuwah. Then Beniehu, son of Jehoiada, went up and fell upon him and put him to death. And he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. And the sovereign put Beniehu, son of Jehoiada, in his place over the army, and the sovereign put Zadok the priest in the place of Abiathar. And the sovereign sent and called for Shimei, and said to him, Build yourself a house in Jerusalem, and dwell there. And do not go out from there anywhere. And it shall be, on the day you go out and pass over the Wadi Kidron, know for certain that you shall die. Your blood is on your own head. And Shimei said to the sovereign, The word is good, and my master the sovereign has said, As my master the sovereign has said, so your servant does. So Shimei dwelt in Jerusalem many days. And it came to be at the end of 3 years that two slaves of Shimei fled to Achish, son of Maacah, sovereign of Gath. And they informed Shimei, saying, See, your slaves are in Gath. And Shimei rose up and saddled the donkey and went to Achish at Gath to look for his slaves. And Shimei went and brought his slaves from Gath. And Shelemoth was told that Shimei had gone from Jerusalem to Gath and had come back. So the sovereign sent and called for Shimei and said to him, Did I not make you swear by Yahuwah and warn you, saying, Know for certain that on the day you leave to go anywhere, you shall certainly die? And you said to me, The word I have heard is good. And why have you not guarded the oath of Yahuwah and the command that I gave you? The sovereign also said to Shimei, You shall know all the evil that your heart has known, that you did to my father David, and Yahuwah shall return your evil on your own head. But sovereign Shelemoth is blessed, and the throne of David is established before Yahuwah forever. So the sovereign commanded Beniehu, son of Jehoiada, and he went and fell on him, and he died, and the reign was established in the hand of Shelemoth. Get another sippy. And Shelemoth joined in marriage with Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and took the daughter of Pharaoh, and brought her to the city of David until he had completed building his own house, and the house of Yahuwah, and the wall all around Jerusalem. Only the people slaughtered at the high places, for a house for the name of Yahuwah had not been built until those days. And Shelemoth loved Yahuwah, walking in the laws of his father David, except that he slaughtered and burned incense at the high places. And the sovereign went to Gibeon to slaughter there, for that was the great high place. Shelemoth offered 1,000 ascending offerings on that slaughtering place. At Gibeon, Yahuwah appeared to Shelemoth in a dream by night, and Elohim said, Ask what I should give you. And Shelemoth said, You have shown great love and commitment to your servant David my father, as he walked before you in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with you. And you have guarded for him this great love and commitment, and did give him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. And now, O Yahuwah my Elohim, you have set up your servant to reign instead of my father David. But I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or to come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Shall you then give your servant an understanding heart to rule your people, to discern between good and evil? For who is able to rule this great people of yours? And the word was good in the eyes of Yahweh that Shelemoth had asked him. So Elohim said to him, Because you have asked this, and have not asked long life for yourself, nor asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life for your enemies, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself discernment to understand right ruling, see, I shall do according to your words. See, I shall give you a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like you before you, and none like you shall arise after you. And I shall also give you what you have not asked, both riches and esteem, so that there shall not be anyone like you among the sovereigns all your days. And if you walk in my ways, to guard my laws and my commands, as your father David walked, then I shall prolong your days. And Shelemoth awoke, and see, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem, and stood before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, and offered up ascending offerings, and made peace offerings. And he made a feast for all his servants. Then two women, whores, came to the sovereign, and stood before him. And one woman said, O my master, this woman and I dwell in the same house, and I gave birth while she was in the house. And it came to be the third day after I had given birth, that this woman also gave birth, and we were together. There was stra- there was stranger with us in the house, only the two of us in the house. I think we're missing. There was not a stranger in the house. There was stranger with us. Yeah, only the two of us. Yeah, there's okay. So there's only two of them anyway. Well, and this woman's son died in the night because she lay on him, and she rose up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side, while your female servant slept, and laid him in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And I rose up in the morning to nurse my son, and saw he was dead. But I looked at him closely in the morning, and saw he was not my son, whom I had borne. And the other woman said, No, but the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son. And the first woman said, No, for the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son. And they spoke before the sovereign. And the sovereign said, The one says, This is my son who lives, and your son is dead, while the other says, No, for your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one. And the sovereign said, Bring me a sword. So they brought a sword before the sovereign. And the sovereign said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to one and half to the other. Sounds harsh. And the woman whose son was living spoke to the sovereign, for she was overcome with compassion for her son. And she said, O my master, give her the living child, and by no means kill him. But the other said, Let him be neither mine nor yours, but divide him. What a crooked heart. And the sovereign answered and said, Give the first woman the living child, and by no means kill him. She is his mother. And all Israel heard of the right ruling which the sovereign had rendered, and they feared the sovereign, for they saw that the wisdom of Elohim was in him to do right ruling. Maybe they realized, we're not going to be able to push him around like we did Saul. Anyway, and it came to be that sovereign Shelemoth was sovereign over all Israel, and these were his chief officials: Azariah, son of Zadok the priest, Elihoreph and Ahiah, son of Shisha, scribes, Jehoshaphat, son of Ehud, the recorder, and Beniehu, son of Jehoiada, over the army, and Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, and Azariah, son of Nathan, over the officers, Zabud, son of Nathan, a priest, friend of the sovereign, and Ahishahar, whatever, over the household, and Adoniram, son of Adah, over compulsory labor. And Shelemoth had 12 governors over all Israel, who provided food for the sovereign and his household. Each one made provisions for one new moon of the year. And these were their names: Ben-Hur in the mountains of Ephraim, Ben-Deker and Makatz, and Shaalbim and Beeth Shemesh, and Elon Beeth Hanan, Ben-Hesed and Aruboth, Succoth, and all the land of Hepher were his. Ben-Abinadab and all the height of Dor. Taphanath the daughter of Shelemoth became his wife. Ba'anan son of Ahilud in Taanach, and Megiddo, and all Bethshan, which is beside Sarathan below Yisrael, Bethshan to Abel Meholah, as far as the other side of Yokneam, Ben Geber, and Ramoth Gilad. The towns of Yair, son of Manasseh, and Gilad were his. The portion of Argob and Bashan, 60 large cities with walls and bronze gate bars, were his. Ahinadab, son of Iddo, and Mahanaim, Ahimaaz, and Naphtali. He also took Basemath, the daughter of Shelemoth, as wife, and Baanah, son of Hushai, in Asher, and in Aloth, Jehoshaphat, son of Paruah, and Issachar, and Shimi, son of Elah, and Benjamin, Gibber, son of Uri, in land of Gilad, and land of Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, and of Og, sovereign of Bashan, and one governor was in the land. Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand by the sea, eating and drinking and rejoicing. And Shelemoth was ruling over all the reigns from the river to the land of the Philistines, as far as the border of Mitzrayim. They did taskwork and served Shelemoth all the days of his life. And Shelemoth's food supply for one day was 30 cores of fine flour and 60 cores of meal, 10 fatted cattle and 20 cattle from the pastures, and 100 sheep, besides deer and gazelles and roebucks and fatted fowl. For he was ruling over all the side of the river from Sephah, Tipsah, even to Azah, over all the sovereigns on the side of the river, and he had peace on all sides around him. And Judah and Israel dwelt safely, each man under his vine and his fig tree, from Dan as far as Beersheba, all the days of Shelemoth. And Shelemoth had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots, and 12,000 horsemen. And these governors, each one in his new moon, provided food for sovereign Shelemoth and for all who came to the table of sovereign Shelemoth. There was no lack in their supply. They also brought barley and straw to the appointed place for the horses and steeds, each one according to his right ruling. And Elohim gave Shelemoth exceeding great wisdom and understanding, and largeness of heart like the sand of the seashore. And Shelemoth's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all men of the east and all the wisdom of Mitzrayim. For he was wiser than all men. Then Ethan the Ezrahite, and Haman the Calcol, and Darda the sons of Mahol, and his name was in all the nations around about. And he spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. And he spoke of trees, from the cedar tree of Lebanon, even to the hyssop that springs out of the wall. And he spoke of beasts, and of birds, and of creeping creatures, and of fish. And there came from all peoples, from all the sovereigns of the earth, who had heard of his wisdom, to hear the wisdom of Shelemoth. And Hiram, sovereign of Sor, sent his servants to Shelemoth, because he heard they had anointed him sovereign in place of his father, for Hiram had always loved David. And Shelemoth sent to Hiram, saying, You know my father David was unable to build a house for the name of Yahuwah his Elohim, because of the battles which were all around him, until Yahuwah put them under the soles of his feet. But now Yahuwah Elohim has given me rest all around. There is neither adversary nor evil incident. And see, I intend to build a house for the name of Yahuwah my Elohim, as Yahuwah spoke to my father David, saying, Your son, whom I set on your throne, in your place, he does build the house for my name. And now, command that they cut down cedars for me from Lebanon, and let my servants be with your servants, and let me pay you wages for your servants according to whatever you say, for you know there is none among us who knows to cut timber like the Sidonians. And it came to be, when Hiram heard the words of Shelemoth, that he rejoiced greatly, and said, Blessed be Yahuwah this day, for he has given David a wise son over this great people. And Hiram sent to Shelemoth, saying, I have heard that which you sent me. Let me do all you desire concerning the cedar and cypress logs. Let my servants bring them down from Lebanon to the sea. Then I put them in my rafts by sea to the place you direct me, and I shall spread them out there. Then you take them up while you do my desire by giving food for my household. And Hiram gave Shelemoth cedar and cypress logs all his desire. And Shelemoth gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household, and 20 cores of pressed oil. Thus Shelemoth gave to Hiram year by year. And Yahuwah gave Shelemoth wisdom, as he promised him. And there was peace between Hiram and Shelemoth, and the two of them made a covenant. And sovereign Shelemoth raised up compulsory labor out of Israel, and the compulsory labor was 30,000 men. And he sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 per new moon by courses. They were 1 new moon in Lebanon, 2 new moons at home. And Adoniram was over the compulsory labor. And Shelemoth had 70,000 bearing burdens, and 80,000 hewing stone in the mountains. Besides 3,300 from the chief of Shelemoth's deputies who were over the work, those ruling over the people who labored in the work. And the sovereign commanded, and they brought large stones, precious stones, to lay the foundation of the house with hewn stones. And Shelemoth's builders and Hiram's builders and the men of Gebal did hew and prepared timber and stones to build the house. Well, this is pretty exciting. We're getting, right from the way this reads, this is the coolest it's been. This is the most on track we have been since we crossed the river. But yeah. Anyway, I love you guys. We are making progress. We're gonna be through this before we know it. But as always, may Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you peace. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I myself shall bless them. Shalom, shalom.